Welcome to video 2 in the Money Education Financial Statement Preparation and Analysis Software Instructional Video Series. This video will cover how to build your base case beginning with the Client Name and Income tab. First, you'll need to log in using your registered email and password, and click on the I have read the terms of use button. The first page you come to is the Manage Cases page. Remember, you can select an existing case or you can create a new case by clicking on the New Case button, give it a name, and then click Save the Name. We're going to use the case that I created in the Getting Started video, the example case. So I will open that case, and you will see that the information that I entered in the previous video on the Investment Planning tab has been saved for me and will pre-fill to some other areas in the other tabs that we work with. Now I'm ready to enter the data I collected from the client, starting with the Client Name and Income tab. Notice that on this tab there are 4 distinct areas. Each of them has their own Save button. In the top left quadrant, we're asked to enter information about the client and the spouse, and we're just going to name them Mr. Example and Mrs. Example. And we'll give them both an age of 40 years old. I'm also asked to select their marital status. We'll make them married. And then we're asked for the balance sheet date. The date you should use is the date that's provided in the case text information. So for this example, I'm going to use a date of January 1st, 2020, assuming that that's what was provided in the case information. The top left quadrant also asks us for last year's totals for investment assets, all assets, and net worth. That information will be used to calculate the return on investment and return on assets. So let's go ahead and make up some numbers here so that we can get those calculations as we proceed through the various pieces of the software. Let's make last year's invested assets $170,000. And one of the things you'll notice is that when I am filling in information, I get a nice little drop-down box with some selections. Once you have entered several cases into the software, you'll have something similar pop up. So the first time you enter a case, there won't be anything there, but the software will remember some of your common entries and will allow you to then pre-select from those as you continue through various other cases. So we're going to give these clients invested assets of $170,000. Last year's total assets, we'll say, were $575,000. And we'll give them a net worth for last year of $365,000. So you'll notice that that is all of the information in the top left quadrant, and now I need to hit the Save button in order to save that information. In the top right quadrant, you'll enter the information for the client's income. And we're going to just give them some salary income. We'll have the client working and earning $40,000 a year. And we'll give them a growth rate. We'll say the case tells us they expect their income to grow at the rate of inflation of 3%. So we put that information in. And then I need to make sure I click this gross pay box. That'll be important because that means this income is going to be used in calculating the ratios where we're required to focus on gross income. And I can click Save. But let's say that Mrs. Example also has salary income. So you'll notice now down at the bottom of that quadrant, I have saved Mr. Client's income. And now I can add salary for the spouse. And let's give her a salary of $45,000. We'll give her a growth rate also of 3%. We do want that gross pay box checked, and we'll click on the Save button. Now you'll notice that in this quadrant, there's also a Save Recommendation button. We're not ready to use that yet. That'll come in another video after we enter all of the client data that's provided and create our base case. Then we'll start analyzing what types of recommendations we need, and we'll use some of those save recommendation buttons at that point. For now, we're only saving general information. In the bottom left quadrant, we have a place where we can enter our assumptions for general inflation and education inflation. Those are pre-filled for me at 3% and 5%. I can change those if I want to. I'm going to just go ahead and use those, so I'll click the Save button. And you'll notice that the portfolio rate of return has actually pre-filled from what we did in the first video on the Investment Planning tab, where we looked at their risk tolerance questionnaire. And then the software calculates a recommended portfolio and portfolio rate of return. So I don't have to actively make any change there. Finally, in the bottom right quadrant, we have a place where we can enter information about the client's children. Let's go ahead and give them twins. We'll name them Thing 1 and Thing 2. And let's say Thing 1 is the client's son. We'll make them age 3. We do have to fill in a Social Security number, so I'm just going to randomly make one up, and we'll save that child. And again, you'll notice that the child is saved down below, and I can add the twin, Thing 2. We'll make Thing 2 a daughter. They're twins, age 3, and I'll give her a Social Security number, and click Save. This concludes our look at the Client Name and Income tab. In the next video in the series, we'll review how to enter information on the Assets and Savings tab.